taking a terrible toll in recent weeks in Ukraine, especially last
So
week.
you're a carpenter? You
But,
do concrete?
It's only just emerged
How long you done it?
from American intelligence sources.
Because I have some
There are
work. I'm
actually
building
Iranian,
some cabins
military
off
personnel
of 321
who are in
near
Crimea,
Watauga Lake.
occupying
Well, look, I'll
parts
give
of
you my
Ukraine.
Yeah,
Ukraine,
So what is it?
It's 803. It's 629 1702. Yeah, Jeremy.
So,
And this, I'm a wellness professional. What is this place you were talking about? Yoga center. Are they up and running? Are they?
Yeah, I mean, it's a retreat center, so it's got like 30, so it's like a 40-person yoga retreat center. But it really depends on if you want to go there.
So they more or less doing like a Airbnb kind of.
That's kind of how it feels right now. I think that her vision is different than what it is right now.
Do they just get it? Or are they like moving into it?
No, they have it. They own it. Probably
Right.
It's 30 acres.
Right.
It's there's 16 rooms. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of space.
Right.
But for right now, I think it used to be like a cross country training facility. You know, and now that they own it, I think they're trying to build it up to something more than what it is. But I don't think they know how to approach that yet.
So how do we get in touch with those guys?
You can just call me, brother.
Okay,
Just
that
give
sounds
me a
good.
shout.
Yeah, I'll give you a shout.
I'm staying on the property right now. I do
Oh,
all
okay,
work out
okay,
there.
okay. So you're right there. So yeah.
I'm right there. So.
Okay, good. So how long you been in Crazy Boone here?
10 years too long.
Whoa!
It's a lot.
I was here in the early '70s teaching when there was only 800 kids in the school.
Here? That's crazy.
And it's the smell you could smell was honeysuckle.
Honeysuckle?
Now all you can smell is diesel. So I live over kind of near Watauga River, right on the river. So I'm about 20 miles from here. So that's nice. There's nobody there. The rich people are stinking around.
Is it your property? Or?
Oh yeah. I've had it. You know, back in the day, I had cash to buy, but I was a scholar rather than an academic, so
Right.
I didn't get a retirement fund.
Yeah, right. I always say my brother was a religious studies major, so he can pray for employment. My sister was a philosophy major, so she can.
You're a stand-up comedian.
And look, I was a theater major, so I can act like I have a job.
Right, yes. So I went to Juilliard, and I had been working in the theater since I was 14 as a lighting designer. I was a master electrician.
Yeah.
I actually have a master electrician's license in New York City, which is like,
That's pretty dope.
yeah, it's pretty dope. You have to be born into
Cool
it,
too.
right? My master was the guy who had the first first electrical license in the world. He was a bench electrician for Nikola Tesla. All the shit that Tesla invented, he made, and that was my master.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, what's your name, man?
Al.
Al, I'm Jeremy, man. Nice to meet you, brother. Woo. I'm gonna grab me a sandwich and go.
So let's
finish
see your
the
palm,
driveway.
Jeremy. Your palm.
Which one, right or left?
The one you write with. Get back to the lights on it. Oh, good. Perfection. Well, you're like, you know, Mr. Natural, that's you. And you are kind of laid back, but really intense.
Right, totally.
You know, what are you? You a Libra?
I'm Aquarius.
You're February what? Oh, so you are the Aquarian's Aquarian.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were more towards Capricorn, you'd be Capricorn Aquarian. You're more towards Sag, you'd be a Sag, but you're not. You're Aquarian's Aquarian. So you are like a Tootsie Roll put in, yogurt, then fried with fish, and then sprinkles and chocolate juice. And that's you right there. See that chocolate? That's you. That's you. And so take a look. Take a look at my card. It's my.
Oh, heard that. Yeah, I know.
That's my curriculum vitae and a business card. So give that to the lady. the massage.
No, my rising is
Where's your
Virgo
rising?
and my moon is Libra.
Well, that's pretty good for an Aquarian.
It
The
kinda
Virgo.
sucks sometimes.
No. The Virgo is the Virgo is always right,
Yeah.
and so being psychotic and always right. Really, you need that Libra to do this, right? This is what you do. But because you're doing this all the time, you're almost fluttering like a bird, and so you are pretty stable. Most people think you're just psychotic, but in reality, you are pretty stable. And not only that, you can get things done. And beyond, but see, no one can. This is what people do. So let's see this side of your hand. Yeah, so you're somewhat intelligent. You're pretty empathetic. And the one thing that gets in your way, two things you get in your way, is you're moving way too fast. You've got to slow down a tad because you're always missing your 20. You know what a 20 is? Hey, what's your 20, good buddy? Like in CB language, it's asking you, where are you right now? Right? So you are always just a little ahead or a little behind. And if you just slow down, you could step right on. And then instead of people doing this, when they look at you, maybe go, because you would be right on time. Your new name would be perfect timing. You're always just a little ahead, a little in front. You've got to slow down so you can see that spot to step on. The other thing you need is to know your 360. You let things get in your grill way too much. You got to see it 3 blocks down. So you can just get out of the way. Not deal with the shit, just get out of the way. So that's what I do. I don't know you from a hole in the head, but I can read you like that. That's me. I am an anthropologist. I lived with 3 different a lot of tribal people, but 3 that I was the first white guy they ever saw.
Wow.
And 2 of them called me Al, and that's why I said, well, I guess that's my name. Because it wasn't even one was in Brazil, in the rainforests, and another one was in Australia.
Ended up making a sacrifice that will last forever.
And the guys in Australia knew I was coming before I even knew I was going there. They were like waiting for me.
St. Petersburg.
Well, that'll be a solid gun.
Yep.
You spot on, Al. I'm gonna go get me a sandwich.
Get a sandwich. Yep.
But I appreciate you, man. I hope you're talking serious.
So give that card to the lady. And where is it exactly? Where's it's? You said it's.
It's literally, if you were to leave Boone, you're in the 76 gas station. It's on Aho Road. After this gas station, you get on Aho Road, it's on Blackberry Road. It's where the retreat center is.
Okay, so I'm going out of town on what? 421,
Yeah,
320. Blowing Rock.
Yeah.
Okay, Blowing Rock.
Check it out, man. But I'll give you a call.
Okay, Blowing Rock. And what did you say? Blueberry Road, Blackberry.
Yeah.
Which
Blackberry Road.
Is there a name to the place?
There is not a name yet. They're still trying to get established, I think.
I don't want to
They were some of my regulars at
Russia as the aggressor.
the restaurant
I
I used
don't
to
like
work
to
at.
feel like I'm on the
That's
evil
kind of how I
side.
met him.
What restaurant was that?
This war. Maybe in
Indian
other
cuisine.
cases we'll need to
Where's
protect
that?
our country,
It's
but not like this.
It's right there next to
Thousands of Russians have
right there next to
Walmart?
Subway Bakery.
Near Walmart?
It's on the other side of the road. It's over there. You know where the Burger King is over here?
Yeah.
If you take a left right there, there's a Goodwill. And then
Oh yeah.
there's a bowling alley.
Oh yeah.
There's also a restaurant called Mint Indian Cuisine.
Oh, okay.
And it's Indian.
Is that the one that has chairs outside?
401k will not see this
That
video,
is
and
Stick
that
Boy.
would
Yeah,
be
that's
tragic.
Stick Boy is right next
Why
to
is that?
Okay.
Well,
But it's
because
damn- it's
Forbes
delicious.
recently commissioned
Okay.
an independent
But that's
study
what I met him
quickly
at.
saw
We made the
through
connection.
the
And
president's lies. He's
I've
not fighting for
What kind of work have you been
workers or
doing?
those on a fixed
I've been
income.
trying to stay
In
busy,
fact,
man.
he wants to
No, I mean for them. I'm building jets
Down
or
the driveway, you know, putting in
$20,000 in their IRA and 401k
putting in a
accounts.
section driveway.
So if you have
for,
retirement savings, you cannot afford to lose.
sections of
you
bush,
should pay
things like
close
that.
attention to
Landscaping
this short
kind of
video
things, yeah.
because the implications are
But-
catastrophic. You see, this
So
president
I'm a
wants to
piece of
raise
property that would be
3.3
great
trillion
for
in new taxes.
Airbnb
And he's got it
on
for your
the
retirement
low,
accounts to
like
help
above
him do just
glamping
that.
and not
And this is
super
not the first
expensive
time he's
Airbnb.
found new ways
Well,
to
that's
tax
the thing. It's
retirees.
like I
After
kind of
all,
want to tell them they have all these
Social
rooms, they
Security
have all
wasn't
these beds,
taxable
but
until he voted
a
for
lot
a
of these people
50%
spending
tax,
money
and his
don't want
vote
to come and stay in
was
a twin-size
instrumental
bed.
in
Right, right.
ramrodding retirees.
Yeah, they want to.
They want to.
At least the queen. At least the queen. At least the
They
queen.
don't
Right, right.
like to be like.
He's
They want to
recently
enjoy it.
committed
They don't want to be like a
himself to
retreat. Like
radical
the
wealth
way it's set up is a retreat
Already,
center.
those
It's
who
called-
Like
don't
I would take my high school football
massive
team there,
tax
and we would
hikes
train
from
in the yard, and
while they
and
still
that's the
have a
bed you get.
majority,
Right.
which is
And I'm
why
not
most
saying that the
Americans
beds aren't nice.
retired
It's not.
or
It's
about to
decorated. There's
retire
all kinds of
feel
hitty
completely
bitty show
hopeless
walls.
because
Right, right.
they know
You know, there's
this new administration
pillows from
will
Peru.
force them.
But at the end of the day, it's still a damn twin-size bed.
Right, right.
Your
It's
IRA,
what is called a
401k, pension savings
monastic
took a hit
cell.
during the 2008
Yeah.
to 2010 crisis,
Excel.
then you
I mean, that's,
better
I
cinch your
used to
belt
be
real
a
tight
guy
because
who was in
experts
ashrams in
predict
India
a
and studied with the
financial haircut.
master.
Unlike
And that's what
any
we get.
other,
Which
frankly,
master?
it
Oh,
makes my teeth grind.
Akasha K.
Here's the
He's
good news.
I
You
wasn't
don't
in
have to
India.
sit
It was
back and let
basically
the
in Vermont,
IRS ravage
and
your
he was a
hard-won
Shinto
nest egg. You
Japanese
can fight
priest.
back right now.
So I was
before
learning
this
Shinto
president
medicine.
has his way in
Okay.
I
before
was working.
the US
I
dollar
was
collapses
started
from
going
all
to
his
Vietnam.
reckless
I worked
spending.
in the VAI,
Just click on the button you
the-
see on your screen right
VA,
now.
and
When
my
you do
boss
so, you'll request
said,
a free physical
I want
copy
you
of
to
your
go
wealth
study these
protection guide.
alternative things.
This
So I was
25-page
signed up
guide
for 6
reveals
years,
a legal
and I spent 3
IRS
years
proof
just
loophole
learning,
that
studying
can
with
help you take back
him
control of
and
your
a
retirement
Chinese herbalist and
protect
an
your IRA,
acupuncturist, and
401k, and
so
pension
I had
savings.
quite the
With
protocol.
inflation projected
And
to eat into your retirement
and what
assets
we
this
were
year,
doing in
and with taxes about to
1970 and
raid your
71
hard-won nest egg,
is
I
just what
urge
the
you to
Army is
not
getting
let your
around to
golden
do
years
now.
plan get
Instead of
run.
giving people
So
opium, we were
heed
doing
these warnings.
acupuncture.
Click the button you see
Right?
now.
Yeah.
and
There's
grab
places
your
in your
free
ear
They
that,
were
25-page
doing
wealth
open heart
protection guide.
surgery
You'll
thousands of
discover a
years ago
Yeah,
by
with-
just using
100%
Yeah,
legal
right.
tax loophole
Yes.
that helps protect
So that's
your
what I learned.
retirement
And
against
then
higher taxes,
after I got out of that,
skyrocketing
I
inflation, and
taught
an
at the
extremely volatile
a Swedish
economy.
Institute in New York,
So
which is a
click
big
the
what you
button
do alternative
and
medicine
protect
place.
What's
And I had a
rightfully
practice downtown near Wall Street on Pearl Street for a number of years. So I did that, and I was very successful at it. I just got sick of it because, well, like that little term, doctor heal thyself. If the person isn't ready to heal themselves,
If you're a homeowner in
Look,
North
you
Carolina
can't
and
help
you're still
somebody that
paying
won't
for
help
right?
electricity,
And that's the
maybe
bullshit
this
about
free government
allopathic
assistance
medicine,
go
is that they
solar.
just keep
Most people don't know
giving
this,
those
but
pills to hide
2005,
the
the federal
symptoms.
government passed the Energy
So
Policy Act. This federal law
at a
granted
certain place,
everyday
so I
homeowners
kept
access to
changing my
thousands
skill
of dollars
set.
to invest in
And
upgrading their homes with solar panels.
between
This is what you see so many
2004 and
solar for years.
2014, I worked in the corporate world being a
People are
negotiator.
literally getting paid to go green.
Working
But
for
this
desperate
program
lawyers.
won't be around forever. and
That's
it's
what
on
I
a
did to
first
you.
come, first served
I could do to
basis.
really
So if
stupid
you
rich
wanna see
people who wouldn't
exactly how
agree
much you
to
can get
sign a
paid to go
contract
solar
just
this
to make
year,
$100
I want
million.
you to click the little blue
Because they
button
were so
below to
up
take
in
our
themselves that
60-second
they
Go Solar
hated the
quiz.
other guy
Once you
that
complete
much.
the quiz, you'll instantly
And
know your chances of
I would be
getting paid to
hired
go
because
solar.
the lawyers would get so desperate
That
because they
sounds
spent like
true.
8 months
Wait till
trying
you
to
hear this.
convince them
Homeowners who make the switch to
logically why to
solar are
do
saving
this.
upwards of
So they called
80%
me in
off
and
of
I
their
would do, I would
electricity
just
bills. These federal and state
and
incentives
pull
have
out their
created a
shit and
massive
say, look at that.
solar installation
Really
statewide.
Right?
These
So
programs will not be
that
around
was,
forever.
but what that did to
2022,
me
the
was
federal
I
solar
gained
rebate could be
280
dropping by as
pounds.
much as $4,000 in
Yeah,
savings.
fat,
These
huh?
incentives will
Beyond
be
that.
entirely.
Did you ever see Monty Python's Meaning to
Miss out on
Life?
your opportunity to get paid for
And the
saving
guy
money on
eating,
your
and then he
electric bill.
blows
All you
up.
need to do is click the
Mr.
little
Creosote.
and take your
I was
60-second
bigger
Go
than
Solar
Mr.
quiz.
Creosote.
There, you
I
can
was
quiz
that
instantly
big,
know your
literally.
chance of qualifying for this
And this is
limited
look how-
opportunity. You'll still be able to watch the video you came here to see.
Well,
Once
I
you
had to,
finish
I
your
had to,
60-second
otherwise
quiz,
I was
YouTube
going to
will bring
be
you back to the
dead.
same video. So go ahead and click the link to the quiz and see how much you
But I
can
could do it.
going solar.
Right. And they wanted to chop my legs off and do a triple bypass. I said, no, I'll take care of this myself. How can you do that? I said, don't worry about it.
Nice. Nice. Man, look, I gotta go finish this.
Go, do that, Jeff. Go to work.
I gotta make some kind of money.
Kind of money. So give him my card. Have him,
They haven't released
right?
the photos. I would just
Yep,
say,
yep.
sorry, the dam. I would just say,
And I will do the same. I got your number.
at the centre of
accusations and counter-accusations between Kyiv and the Kremlin all week. It was
Anybody
Russia
there?
that was
That was
claiming
14 minutes
earlier
of
this week
interestingness.
that Ukraine planning
and
to blow
so,
up this dam, which was taken really
what can I
as
say? But
as possible
is, the
pretext
church show
for
today.
Russia to be withdrawing
Tomorrow
from the
Saturday,
Kherson area where they
I
are already
will,
under pressure
kind of
and losing ground.
be out in the middle of
Kherson
nowhere.
is a city that is
I probably
on
won't
the
be able
river.
to
It's downstream of the
do a show
dam.
till
So
Sunday.
it's
So,
certainly true that if the
anybody
dam
want to
were
say
blown
anything?
up by either
Let's get a
side,
conversation going.
it would
No?
send a wall of
There's
water
nobody
down
there.
that river. Russia has the river. It's downstream of the dam. So it's certainly true that if the dam were blown up by either side, it would send a wall of water down that river. Russia has quite a weak hold on the western side of the river where the city of Kherson is. And so really all the mood music around what the Russians are doing at the moment, including evacuating some of their administration, some civilians and some soldiers from the west side of the river, indicates that perhaps that they are pulling back because they know they can't hold this area. Now, one of the peculiarities, if Russia were to blow up this dam, is that they would then endanger water supplies to the entire Crimean peninsula that they annexed. That seems like it would be like shooting off your own foot. It would completely undermine Russian control of Crimea as well, which depends on this dam for I think about 85% of its fresh water. The other catastrophe, the potential catastrophe that the destruction of the dam would cause is to the Zaporizhia nuclear power station, which is under Russian control. Now, it uses the water in that reservoir for the cooling of the reactors. So there seem just innumerable reasons why this would be an absolutely terrible idea for either side to do it. But obviously terrible things happen. So I think we're really standing by to see what exactly. It's a very hard front to get eyes on. We've been talking to people who are in Kherson, who are talking about what's going on the city, and they have seen, for example, the Russians looting fire trucks to take away with them as they leave. We've also heard that freshly mobilized troops there have been, quote, buying anything that floats, including buying every last lilo in Kherson, presumably in the belief that their own side will not bother to take them back should they lose that. So it's a very chaotic scene there, by the sounds of things, and really we're all hoping very much that dam is safe. Cooling of the reactor, Russian control, and endanger water supplies to the entire Crimean peninsula that they annexed. That seems like it would be like shooting off your own foot. It would completely undermine Russian control of Crimea as well, which depends on this dam for I think about 85% of its fresh water. The other potential catastrophe that the destruction of the dam would cause is to the Zaporizhia nuclear power station, which is under Russian control. Now, it uses the water in that reservoir for the cooling of the reactor. So there seem just innumerable reasons why this would be an absolutely terrible idea for either side to do it. But obviously terrible things happen. So I think we're really standing by to see what exactly. It's a very hard front to get eyes on. We've been talking to people who are in Kherson, talking about what's going on the city, and they have seen, for example, the Russians looting fire trucks to take away with them as they leave. We've also heard that freshly mobilized troops there have been, quote, buying anything that floats, including buying every last lilo in Kherson, presumably in the belief that their own side will not bother to take them really we're all hoping. Bridge has been at the centre of accusations and counter-accusations between Kyiv and the Kremlin all week. It was Russia that was claiming earlier this week that Ukraine was planning to blow up this dam, which was taken really as possible pretext for Russia to be withdrawing from the Kherson area where they are already under pressure and losing ground. Kherson is a city that is on the river, it's downstream of the dam, so it's certainly true that if the dam were blown up by either side, it would send a wall of water down that river. Russia has quite a weak hold on the western side of the river where the city of Kherson is. And so really all the mood music around what the Russians are doing at the moment, including evacuating some of their administration, some civilians and some soldiers from the west side of the river, indicates that perhaps that they are pulling back because they know they can't hold this area. Now, as well, one of the peculiarities, if Russia were to blow up this dam, is that they would then endanger water supplies to the entire Crimean Peninsula that they annexed. That seems like it would be like shooting off your own foot. It would completely undermine Russian control of Crimea as well, which depends on this dam for I think about 85% of its fresh water. The other catastrophe that
fact is that the United States will not allow the Ukrainians to cut a deal that the United States finds unacceptable. The Washington Post had a piece on Monday that made it very clear that the administration and our NATO allies are very worried that the Ukrainians are going to cut a deal with the Russians that makes it look like the Russians won, or it in fact concedes that the Russians have won, at least to some extent. We do not want that to happen. As I said before, the Biden administration is out to inflict a decisive defeat on Russia. If the Ukrainians decide to cut a deal and allow Russia to win in some meaningful sense, the Americans are going to say that's unacceptable. And
what kind of sandwich did you get?
Roast beef.
Good day. Compared to the dramatic
they have good
events
sandwiches.
of the
I really
previous
love their
days,
soup. I'm their soup
the last
guy.
24 hours have been relatively stable on the
Especially this time of
battlefronts
year.
of Ukraine. We're
But
getting
I'll eat soup in the
more
summertime.
of a trickle of reports of Russian advances in the Kharkiv region towards the town of
Oh. So do you live here in Boone?
Up in Newland.
Okay. So you're just here shopping and
My wife is having a medical procedure.
a thing. She's having a thing. Yeah, my doctor's here too. I don't come here unless I'm doing about 6 different things.
I don't really care for much.
Right. Me neither. I used to teach here I did research here back in the 70s when it was a teacher college. And those kids were like my monkeys, you know? So, and this was a beautiful little town.
Well, that's like Florida. It used to be beautiful too.
Yeah. My parents had a house in Pompano Beach in the 50s and 60s, right? When I went back there, in 06 or 07, before the crash, and and we lived right on 1A, right? And I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it. And when I was there, the bridge they had was a wooden bridge, and it was a circular. It did this, right? And there was this gigantic concrete bridge that wasn't there when I was there. And where we lived was on the other side of the bridge, I mean, closer to where the bridge, so when it was a little circly thing, it was like a block away.
Right.
But it's a gigantic concrete thing. It was past, so I couldn't find it. And the other amazing thing, when I was a kid, we just walked across A1A and went swimming. The ocean was right there, right? They had filled in 10 blocks
Right.
and turned everything into a condo. So no one could get on the beach,
Right.
period. And you can't get on the beach. The closest you can get on the beach is Jensen Beach, 100 miles north.
Right.
That's the only place, you know, Jensen Beach?
Uh-huh.
And there's a nuclear power plant there.
Uh-huh.
And they call it Turkey Point. You know, they should have found a better name. And so when they put that in the 60s, the federal government bought that whole beach and said, forever, this is going to be the people's beach.
Right.
And they'll not only get a tan, but irradiated too. You know, you can go there if you got cancer. You
Come
can.
away with 3 eyes.
Yes, exactly. And so I found a really nice place between Jensen Beach and Stewart for nothing.
Yes. Stewart's not is going the way of all of it, but it was like the last.
It was because that was one of the centers of politics and old school, old wealth. Because you know, whatchamacallit, where all the rich people live. What do they call that? Palm Beach?
Boca.
No, Palm Beach.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's just below Stewart. And Stewart, when I bought that place, was such a. It was like in amber. Nobody lived there. Nothing was happening there.
Especially in the summer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But even in the winter, and so they have these little peninsulas because the intercoastal is there, right? And the bridge is over there, and below Stewart is like an old school 1940s fishing village. I don't know what it's called, but I had this peninsula between the two, and the septic line came out right there, and it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to keep going up to the shit factory, but no one ever fixed it, so nobody ever wanted it. So it went up for, you know, nothing, and it was beautiful. And on where 1A is, when you go over the bridge and you go to Jensen Beach,
Right.
there's that place with a movie store,
Right.
right? And there's a marina and the restaurant.
Right.
And that used to be like the little, you know, where all the movie stars, because before Hollywood, movies were made in, yes, well, yeah, even before that. So anyway, that was, you know, I bought that place in the 90s, which was the limbo years.
Yeah.
You know, so it's when Bill Clinton destroyed America. He's probably the worst. Him and Woodrow Wilson, two worst presidents we ever had. Both Democrats, and both got us into nasty wars, along with Jimmy Carter. You know, the Republicans used to be liberals. They were the liberals. You know, the EPA and Clean Water Act and Clean Air Act were all done by Richard Nixon, right? And he did more for everyone to vote. I mean, LBJ had the 65 Voting Act, but it didn't do anything. It just looked good, but it didn't do anything. That's why Martin Luther King got, you know, took off his suit and put on the bib overalls and started the people's, you know, instead of black people, the people's movement. And that's why they shot him in the head. Okay, talk about black people, but getting the people organized? No, we can't have that. What did you do for a thing?
I'm a contractor.
Oh, you still, or still a contractor, or you'll be a contractor the day you die?
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of shit do you build?
In Florida, I built swimming pools.
Oh, that was lucrative. Gunite? Yeah.
And here I remodel and build a residential home.
In New York City, I was a master electrician, and I built nightclubs and fancy restaurants and rich people's condos. Did that
New
for,
York City?
yep, Manhattan. Yep.
Wow.
I had a master's electrician's license in Manhattan. That's like being God. You really have to be, mind the pun, you have to be connected. Yeah, I did that for, I did it for 50 years, but seriously, I did it. I was an artist. I did a lot of stuff. I was a social scientist. From 1988 till 2008, I was an itinerant scholar. I got paid to go study stuff. That was fun. But I didn't get any retirement funds. I lived well. I lived good. Yep. And I liked moving, traveling. I was a traveler. Where'd you grow up? Ohio. What part? Dayton. Isn't there an Air Force base near there?
There is.
What is that called?
Patterson.
Right, Patterson. That's where all the aliens.
They have a huge museum.
Yeah. My dad worked for the Strategic Air Command. He was building, their logo was this iron fist with lightning bolts, and security through world destruction. It's like, okay. When I was six, my father took me to the test site in Nevada, and I saw an above ground nuclear blast at 6. Yeah, that did something to my worldview. That's why I said, I'm not going to worry about anything. I'm just going to have a good time. I'm not going to have to impress anybody.
Get under a desk, stop, drop, and roll.
So what happened when I was in first grade? So I saw this right before first grade. Go to first grade Catholic school, and they're having that drill, right? And it's New York City with 3 blocks from the Empire State Building. Big window, Empire State Building's right there, all glass, right? So this big fat nun, get under the desk, say the rosary, say the rosary. And I'm just, get under the desk. I said, why? Get under the desk. You'll be safe under the desk. I said, sister, see that? That's the Empire State. That's ground zero. Russia's going to drop a hydrogen bomb on that, and we will be dust within a nanosecond. But before that, we will first be roasted, and then this glass will be flying at us like razor blades. And she grabbed me by the throat and murdered me. She broke the orbit in my eye, broke the little stirrup in my ear, crushed my larynx. I couldn't speak for 2 years, and then I stuttered for about a year and a half. So that's when I knew that you don't do that to a psycho nun. There's some good nuns, but she wasn't one of them. But on the other side of that, I got sent to this sanctuary. You know the Maryknols?
Yeah.
So this was a Maryknoll sanctuary, and everybody there was brilliant, and they rebuilt me. And all the things that were wrong, they said, that's not bad. Now you can see out of that eye in a way that no one else can see. Now you can hear with this ear in a way that no one else can hear. Now we're going to really teach you how to talk. So, and they were not all Catholic, people are terrible. These people really, really amazingly good. So that was a good thing out of being murdered by a nun. So where do you do most of your work?
Newland.
That's kind of like that way, right?
Up the mountain. On the other side of the banner.
Okay. Other side. So south or east?
South.
West. So Banner Elk is such a tricky place. So I was here in 72, right? When there were still trees on top of Mount Mitchell. And all these towns were deader than a doornail. And but they were quite sweet, quite nice. And in 1980, the mob came into Banner Elk and bought everything and did what they did to it. Built all those little ticky-tack things. And it's expanding. I kind of live. Did you ever go to Watoga Lake? Watoga Lake towards Mountain City. Between Mountain City and Johnson City. Watauga.
Yeah, I will go
Oh, okay. So you know the lake. Great lake, right? Big, especially if you're a fisherman. All those little lakes, because it's a sawtooth mountain, so when they flooded it, it goes all over the place. So this thing called Watauga Mercantile bought up the whole end of the lake, and they're doing a battered elk thing to it. So they ripped and teared it. And what's truly interesting is how different the weather is from Boone and there. I mean, it's only 28 miles, but it's like another planet. We're like a rainforest. And we're higher up by about, 1,800 feet, and yet we're warmer. Yes, where I am, I'm at, I'm between about 6 of those sawtooth mountains, and I'm in a holler. And I got up this morning, and there was a line. And this way, it was frost, and this way, it was dry. Not dry, but warm and wet. So it's a very strange neck of the woods. But I like it. So when you were in Ohio, what did you do as a kid? What was your kid thing? Went to the lake? Well, then you know the Catholic school. Yes. Then you understand what I said about the nun killing me. And then they wanted me to be a Catholic priest, so I got sent to a seminary. That didn't work out too well either. They were Jesuits. Those guys are sick. They wanted me to be a rocket scientist for the Pope. Half the people in NASA are Catholic priests and nuns. The workers. Did you ever see the movie about the black women mathematicians at NASA? Yeah. That's really, like I said, my dad had a lot to do with NASA because of SAC and missiles. And so we went to there. And one Christmas, Werner von Braun came to our house for Christmas. That was quite strange. Did you ever see the movie Dr. Strangelove? The Stanley Kubrick movie. It made fun about Armageddon. I mean, it wasn't making fun. It was satire. There's a difference. He's one of my favorite movie makers, Stanley Kubrick. Did you see any of his movies? Stanley Kubrick?
Not really.
Full Metal Jacket. Yeah, Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, Lolita, Paths of Glory, the one about some Roman slave, the Kirk Douglas, other movies. Eyes Wide Shut. Oh, and the one with Jack Nicholson in the hotel. Scary movie. Here's Johnny. Yeah, Jack Nicholson. You show that one. Now, so that's Stanley Kubrick. Yeah. And he invented, you know what a Steadicam is? It's a handheld movie that they put a gyroscope on, so it's set. Right? He invented that for that movie. That scene where they're running down the hallways. The guy was running after them, and it was like this all over the place. So they invented the Steadicam.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm a fond of that kind of information. Breathe, and you can't breathe and eat at the same time. Don't do that. You gotta go. Yes, I know you're in a rush. Go get the old lady. Can't leave her staying there too long. Stay well, my friend. It was fun sharing lunch with you. Okay. So you get the picture? Okay. 40 minutes, 28 seconds. I think I'm going to say goodbye. Start over again. Here we go. Da-da.